Everyone talks about doing the healing work, and not to mention, going down the healing path is one of the most courageous and challenging path that you would ever walk in this lifetime. And not everyone has the courage to do this. So if you are one of those people who have committed to this and you told yourself that I want to heal this, then you are well on your way to living a more rewarding life. So, how do you know the healing work that you have been doing on yourself is working or paying off? Remember, healing is not linear. However, you can notice and measure your progress in how you show up in your everyday life. So today, I am going to be sharing with you on some of the signs, 6 signs that shows that you are well on your way in your healing journey, and I am here cheering you on so that you continue this healing path and you would come out on the other hand completely healed at some point. So let's take the time to celebrate your small wins. My name is Veena Raji and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This channel is dedicated to talking about healing from childhood trauma, narcissistic abuse, as well as attachment style, something which I've done over the last couple of years without any support or external help. And I have dedicated this channel to everyone who is currently committed to their healing journey, hoping that this information can help you as much as it did help me. And in today's video, we are going to look at 6 signs that you are healing from trauma. The first sign to look out for is that you are no longer tempted by distractions. Now, this one is actually a very big sign because a lot of adults would turn to distractions as a form of escaping from experiencing or dealing with any sort of emotional discomfort or emotional pain. And we tend to distract ourselves by keeping ourselves busy so that we don't have to deal with those painful emotions or stress that we are experiencing. Now, this is often used as a form of escape for a lot of adults. And when I say that this can look different for everyone, it simply means that you have to take a look at your habits. Now, for some, it can look like binge eating, unhealthy eating habits. For some, it could be watching TV mindlessly for hours, or being locked up in a room and being consumed by playing video games for long hours. For some, it could even look like being obsessed with fitness, like they do just spend so much time in the gym and around their nutrition, and it's like there's a lot of obsession around fitness, which is, there is a healthy level of obsession, but I am talking about those who have unhealthy obsession towards fitness. And don't get me wrong that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when you are doing that as a form of distracting yourself from feeling a certain emotions, that's when it gets unhealthy. And for some people, they could also use work as a means of distraction. They could just be overworking, they could just bury themselves and just keep taking on a lot of work, a lot of tasks, just so that they can stay busy and not want to confront and deal with those emotions. Now, for me personally, I used to overwork. So when I had my corporate career more than 3 years ago, I used to work on average 12 to 15 hours a day. I would keep myself busy. I would volunteer myself to attend any social networking events, and sometimes I would even work on weekends by attending networking events, just showing up for events. Like, I would always make myself available, and I would prioritize my work instead of my personal life, including my rest days. And by doing that, it almost always kept me away from thinking about other issues that may be present in my life at that point. And even at a time when I started experiencing burnouts, I would not really do anything to change that. I would still not say no, because it was just the only way I knew how to deal with it. And it turns out I was using that as a means of escape, as a form of distraction. So I do not have to confront with, the emotional discomfort that usually comes up when you are alone, not really doing anything. And another form of distraction for me that was huge, especially when I had free time and when I had lost my job, when I had moved back and I wasn't working, I would mindlessly watch TV for hours, and this was just horrible. I know there are people who are addicted to TV, so I had an addiction towards TV because I don't turn to unhealthy eating. I don't have any addictions for substance, none of those. So I found myself addicted to TV. So that was my creature comfort. I would turn to TV series and I would just watch mindlessly. There were times that I could watch TV for 10 to 12 hours a day, especially when I was feeling low and really depressed with, a lot of things that was happening in my life at that point, especially when I was not having a job, and there were so many other struggles. And instead of actually confronting those emotions, I would choose to distract myself by watching TV, because it just keeps me busy, keeps me occupied, and takes my mind off, and it just tends to keep me in a little bubble, in a little fantasy that didn't exist. So wherever you are, if you're watching this, I'm sure you will be able to find somewhere along the line, where do you spend most of your free time? So do you watch TV? Do you play video games? Or are you always distracting yourself by being out? You always find yourself in certain social groups because you just can't seem to be alone, or you are channeling your time and energy in that one particular interest of yours, like be it gym or maybe an art, whatever it may be. Now, don't mistaken this for passion. That's two different things. Someone who's passionate, they are excited to get to it on a daily basis, or as in when they can. However, for someone who's using it as a distraction, you just don't know what to do. And that's the one thing that you know how to do. In my case, I didn't have any other addiction apart from watching TV mindlessly. So at any point in time when I was feeling low, I was feeling bored, I would turn to that. And once you start healing your emotional traumas, your relational traumas, and you start addressing some of your core woundings that has kept you stuck in that flight, fight, or freeze mode, you will finally be able to come out of it. And how do you actually know that you're healing? When you are no longer drawn to it, when you no longer use distraction, when you have any life stresses or difficult emotions come up. And I can say this, that I know for a fact that I have done significant healing, because I am no longer tempted by those distractions. It's come to a point where there are days that I can go on days not watching TV, and even on the days when I choose to, I can no longer watch TV for more than 2 hours. I would start getting restless. I need to turn my attention to something else. I need to read a book or work out or listen to music, go for a walk, or I would find something else to do. So if you are getting to a point where you are no longer drawn towards certain things that used to keep you occupied and busy, then you are well on your way to making amazing progress in your healing journey. Sign number 2 of your progress in your healing work is being more comfortable with having a smaller inner circle. Of course, this can vary for everyone. This can be very different for every individual, because a lot of people choose to be poorly surrounded in order to not be alone. So they tend to be more accepting of being around people who are not necessarily healthy for their emotional well-being. However, it's also done in an attempt to not feel alone or isolated. So if you find yourself being more comfortable with a smaller inner circle, being more comfortable with people cutting you off, or you cutting people off, and you are starting to enjoy people who just brings you peace, comfort, and joy, now you are starting to make a significant progress. This is a huge milestone. So well done. And this is especially difficult for those who have a certain lifestyle. If you have like a large social group, if you are a bit of an extrovert and you like being around people. However, if you are making a conscious effort to have meaningful smaller circle of people that brings you a lot of contentment, you are doing better than you think. Also shows that you are learning to choose people who are healthier for you, people who genuinely want to see you succeed and see you win. And the fact is that we often don't even realize a lot of people that we associate ourselves with do not even have our best interest at heart. They don't necessarily want to see us succeed or win. And when you make a conscious effort, when you start setting boundaries, when you start choosing healthier lifestyle, when you make a conscious effort that you are choosing well for yourself, naturally people who are not aligned with the new person that you are becoming will have to leave your life, because as you choose to evolve, not everyone will be able to come along with you. So if you're losing people and you are starting to feel more comfortable, I just want to say that you have been doing an amazing job in your healing journey, and keep it going. It only gets better. And trust me, when you lose people who are no longer aligned with you, you would start attracting people who are more aligned with this newer, evolved version of you. The third sign is not feeling guilty about setting boundaries. Now, if you start finding it much easier to say no to people without feeling guilty or bad or worrying about what they are going to think about you, then you are definitely doing something right. Because for a lot of adults who have had relational trauma, especially for those who lean in more on the anxious side, they often struggle saying no for fear of abandonment or for fear of rejection. So as a result, they tend to be more overgiving. They tend to lean in more on, people pleasing. They tend to be more accepting, or generally just putting up with a lot of bad behaviors for fear of rejection or not being liked or accepted. So if you find yourself that you are now prioritizing your own commitments and what makes you feel good, what makes you feel better about yourself, if you are finding it a lot more easier just saying no to people without the fear of rejection or not being liked, or just not worrying so much about what someone is going to think of you, then you are making an amazing progress. Because setting healthy boundaries is absolutely essential if you want to heal and become more secure, because healthy boundaries is going to protect you. This is going to be your armor. And when you are choosing to set healthy boundaries, you are actually committing to yourself. So at any point, if you feel that you are not sure if you are making progress in your healing journey, try to look back and see how the older version of you would have handled a particular situation as compared to how this evolved version of you was managing a situation. And if you find yourself that you are being able to choose yourself at every turn without letting the fear of rejection get to you, then this marks an excellent progress in your healing, and keep it going. Because what matters is that you start small and you can eventually gather the courage to keep building that up. You would be able to keep building and setting healthier boundaries. And most importantly, setting boundaries is one thing, but you have to hold your boundaries in place and you have to be firm. So if you are able to do that, I am really, really proud of you. This is an amazing progress, and keep doing so. This is going to make a huge difference, and this will only further eliminate people who are not able to respect your boundaries, and this will bring in closer people who are more aligned and a lot more healthier for you. Confronting difficult emotions head on. Sure, we don't talk about this enough, but if you notice that you are able to sit with difficult emotions, sit with that discomfort instead of turning to creature comforts or distracting yourself, then this is definitely a huge progress that no one talks about, because it really does take a lot of courage and mental energy as well as physical energy to be able to do this. Because whenever you're faced with difficult emotions, you have to sit with that discomfort, and this can often bring up a lot of unpleasant memories, and this can also be very emotionally painful. And this emotional pain can often be felt in your physical body. You could even end up experiencing physical symptoms, like you can end up having hives, you can end up having fever, you can experience fatigue, or you can just have overall low energy to be able to do anything else. And whenever you are challenged with difficult emotions, and if you are showing more compassion and allowing yourself to deal with it instead of trying to suppress it, then you are doing tremendously well, because this is one of the most crucial aspects of healing, which a lot of people still struggle to deal with. I mean, I do know of people who want to do it, but people just do generally struggle with that because they probably just need a little bit more guidance. So in that sense, therapy definitely does help. Talk therapy can be a great source of support for some of you. And for those of you who cannot afford, or you just don't have the means or resources to get professional help, then I hope that videos like this would encourage you to keep going, because know that as a human, you do have the healing power within you to get through this, even if you don't seek external help. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is that if you don't have the means to get external support, then know that you are not alone. You can still get through this, and please use whatever resources that may be available at your disposal, like online videos, and you can turn on to socials. There are a lot of people who talk about what they have done, how they have come out on the other side. So this will definitely help you get through. So if you're able to show more compassion whenever you are struggling with your emotions, you are just able to allow it to happen, feel the pain and release it from your body, because this is where healing actually happens. You need to feel it, you need to acknowledge it, accept it, and finally be able to release these toxins, this trauma that is stored in your body, because that's how you know that you are healing, when you are no longer trying to suppress discomfort and difficult emotions. So if you're doing this, keep it going. It only gets better. Remember, it's going to be hard now, but it will keep getting better, and the outcome is going to be so rewarding, and you would thank yourself for being able to get through this phase. Committed to personal growth. Now, if you have noticed, every successful person would talk about just how important personal growth is and how this can completely shape and shift your life to the other end of the spectrum. So if you are currently going through your healing journey and you are invested in your personal growth, then this is a very important sign of how far you have come in your healing journey. And as I speak about personal growth, this may vary. It can look very different for everyone. So if you, as a matter of fact, even walking down the healing path is a huge commitment itself. You have chosen to do the healing work to break the generational trauma, to not repeat the similar patterns that was passed on to you. And this requires tremendous courage, and no one talks about it. And this is already personal growth itself. You are choosing better for yourself. You're choosing to want better for yourself. You are choosing for a more healed, fulfilled, and quality life ahead. So if you are currently committed to your healing, that is already progress itself. However, if you find yourself being more inclined taking on new skills, if you're choosing to learn more skills, if you are going down the healing path of maybe trying new things, like maybe you are now more inclined to try meditation, because essentially meditation allows you to stay more grounded. It brings a lot of clarity, peace of mind. It also helps to calm your nervous system. Maybe you are more committed to your workout routines right now because you want to be healthier. You have probably started developing healthier eating habits. You have a more balanced diet. You are starting to look after yourself. You are paying more attention to grooming yourself because you want to feel good about yourself. And when you feel good, you look good. And it just really changes how you feel about yourself internally as well. Now, personal growth can be really different for everyone. It can look as little as, wanting to read more. Maybe you are more invested in learning psychology. Maybe you are now paying more attention to psychology, understanding about attachment styles, learning about trauma, listening to other people, following other people's progress. So all this marks a significant shift of perspective in your own personal journey. So you are here committed to your own personal growth, and you are doing this so that you can have a more fulfilled and rewarding life ahead of you. So well done if you are currently committed to your personal growth. You are no longer attached to external validations. You may start finding yourself losing interest in things that was once important to you or made you feel significant. This could look like finally leaving that job that was taking up so much of your time and energy, instead moving on to doing something that offers you work-life balance or more flexibility, so that you can now choose to give your time and energy to doing other things that you may enjoy doing in your life. Now understand this one is actually a huge indicator that you are actually healing some of your core wounding, some of your major trauma, because for a lot of people who have had their self-worth damaged, they tend to attach their self-worth to external factors, like success become such a huge part of their life, like what they do for a living, how much money they make, what job title they hold, or what academic background they achieve. All this becomes a measure of their self-worth. So they tend to feel good about themselves the more they accomplish in the external world. However, this unfortunately doesn't necessarily change how they feel internally. So if you are able to move past that, you are losing interest in things that once took so much of your time and energy to wanting to do something that is more rewarding and fulfilling for yourself without worrying what others may think or say, then this is a significant milestone. I would say this one is major progress, because in order for you to arrive to a point where you no longer care about what people are going to think of you, and regardless of what you do, simply means that you are no longer attached to what people think of you or their perception of you. You no longer allow people's perception of you to affect how you feel about yourself internally. And this actually requires you to rewire your internal belief system, where you start accepting who you really are. You are this unique individual. You are born to do different things. You aren't born into this world to be able to take on what people want you to do. You are not here to satisfy your parents, your family, and live up to their expectations and demands by suppressing who you truly are. So if you're able to come out of that cocoon and finally embrace who you really are, maybe there has been something that you have been passionate about all your life. However, you know that doing that or following that path or that dream will not gain as much approval, or it might not be perceived as something that is successful to other people, maybe your family, friends, or you name it. However, that no longer bothers you, because that's just what fuels you. It makes you happy, it makes you feel alive. So if you're choosing to leave behind all those things and just truly be committed to doing what brings you fulfillment and joy, you are actually heading to a path of being truly healed and becoming more secure and confident. Once you are able to get to a point where you no longer allow people to have an effect on how they think of you and how it makes you feel, you become untouchable and unstoppable. So if you are getting there, I just want to say congratulations. You have been doing so much, and your whatever that you've been doing, your healing work is paying off, and this only gets better from here. I really do hope that you found this video informative, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And please do help to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. That would help me to grow my channel. And please do share this information to those who you think might benefit from this. Thank you so much once again, and I will see you again in my next video.